that event? Does he simply sit on his throne? No. According to at least the story of St. Francis, for one, he manifests in our world, and when he manifests, he's appearing as a seraphim, as one of these winged or fiery serpents. And while he was talking, George, I was recalling, remember that press conference they had in D.C. a couple of months ago with those Air Force officers that were at
absolutely. We had them on right before the event, the ones about the missile silo.
The missiles, right. I had a friend that was actually at that press conference, and he had the same thought that I did when I heard their description. In one instance, they described an orangish-red oval of light that disabled the nuclear missile. Well, that's exactly the description of the seraphim. Right. They are the fiery angels. They're portrayed, especially in the case of Jesus as the seraphim, he's portrayed as fiery, reddish orange. And I'm thinking, well, that's exactly the business the seraphim would be about, disabling nuclear missile silos. So something to ponder there.
Text message in. Mandy from Richmond, Virginia wants to know if the Knights Templar were good or evil people.
Well, within any organization, you're going to have some that are good, some that are not so good, and organizations do get sort of hijacked in a way. I think their intention was true. I think it was benevolent. I think that when the original 9 French knights went into Jerusalem underneath the Temple of Solomon seeking these secrets, they're looking for the ultimate ancient secrets, the secrets of Jesus and how he transformed into a being of light. How do we resurrect from the dead? And, I mean, I read these various people's perspectives on the Knights Templar and how they're an evil organization, controlling organization, and I just don't get it. I think that, we want to go back and look at the original documents and the original intent of these people, not what somebody with kind of an axe to grind has to say about it. I think you have to be very careful at people that automatically want to paint with a really wide brush saying all the Knights Templar are evil. Every Freemason is evil. I simply don't go along with that.
Okay, next up we go to Huntington Beach, California on the wild card line. Hi, Danielle. Go ahead. Danielle? Well?
Hi.
Well, there she is, but let's see if we can resurrect her. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
So basically, last year I had a near-death experience. I was 28 years old. It happened in August of 25th, and I had a craniotomy. I had a car accident.
Wow.
They took me to UCI, and my physical being was in Orange County, and I awoke. And I was in white sand, the beaches, I believe, that were in Mexico. I had women around me, shaman women, native, and they told me, they kept repeating the great return of the devourer. They told me of the downfall of Christianity and that this world will be basically inflamed. They told me many things to get out of the city, and they kept saying the devourer, the devourer. I've recently been deciphering that information and linked it up to Egyptian text, basically. And I've had many different out-of-body experiences since my birth. And it's funny that you were talking to the Anunnaki, but I have had a out-of-body experience once, and I had seen a serpent. It was in a gray form with the head of a basic gray, but it was very huge. And it had green eyes, and it spoke. It was neither male nor female. And it spoke that we are as ants, that we basically set out our path as ants, but we are favored. I don't believe in the two brother theory. I do feel connected somehow, like as the gentleman was saying, the serpent was basically withheld as within the Christian text. I do feel like there is somehow our true self, our true capabilities have been withheld for us through control. But my main question is I'm also linking up with many, as I call them, ancient ones or old souls now. And my main question is, what is your take on my near-death experience? I've talked to an anthropologist, and my friend Mel told me to call the show today, and perhaps I would be able to get enlightened on the subject of the devourer. They told me the return of the devourer over and over again.
Yeah, in ancient Egypt, they do talk about the devourer of souls. He's called Amut, and he's actually portrayed as one-third crocodile, a third lion, and a third hippopotamus. Now, we could focus on him and say he's a reptilian, or he's simply a hybrid being. And the idea is that this devourer of souls shows up in the Judgment Day scenes. And in the Judgment Day scene in ancient Egypt, which, by the way, in the Christian tradition, Judgment Day is Book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 12, showing God's got a real sense of humor. Revelation 20:12 is the end of the world in the Christian tradition. But what happens in Judgment Day in ancient Egypt is that this is when the heart is weighed against the feather of Mot, of cosmic truth. And what they want to know is, how light-hearted of a person are you? If your heart weighs less than the feather, then the soul continues on its spiral of evolution. If not, then the devourer of souls is waiting there. It's sort of like a recycling program. It's back to diapers. If you haven't done your spiritual work, if you haven't achieved the state of lightheartedness, we get to do this all over again until we do achieve that state of awakened consciousness and awakened heart.
All right, very good. Next up, Patrick's in Bullhead City, Arizona. Patrick, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Pleasure to talk to you.
You too.
Two questions, and if I got time, a little comment. William, do you think that the reptilian, how kind of you're talking about our ascension to light, do you think it's possible that they had like a class like we are at now, and then the seraphim advanced to light, and then maybe all these bad reptilians are the ones that have never evolved up into the higher life forms?
That's a possibility. They could be the failed ones who didn't matriculate, right? Because, again, the traditions that I'm researching say that humans can become angels. Humans, such as Enoch, can transform into Metatron, an archangel, and Metatron is also considered a seraphim. And so you would have to, from that, might be able to gather that, yeah, there are a group of beings that couldn't make the cut. They couldn't do it. And so then what do? Well, they demonize these teachings and prevent others from following through on it.
Because Quetta Mutrai, I've followed a little bit of his teachings and stuff, or his stuff. I don't know if you know about him. He's an African shaman. But he talks about how, the Anunnaki used to live on the earth a long time ago, and they used to live in this perfect society and stuff, and then they got outcast or whatever. But anyways, my second thought is you were talking earlier about how Obama might disclose the aliens, and do you think possibly that, I've heard a lot of other things like how they might just try to set it up and as a decoy to
Project Blue
like when they come down, like to say, like when they might be coming here to give a genuinely good positive message, but they might try to set us up as they might be tricksters and something like to that along those lines.
Yeah, my hope with disclosure is that we're going to leapfrog the lower technological extraterrestrials, the ones that are not too far in advance from where we're at technologically speaking right now. I think it's fascinating that the Dalai Lama is coming to Washington, D.C. in July to do the Kala Chakra initiation at the Verizon Center. Thousands of people. This is the initiation that puts us on the path to Buddhahood. This is the initiation that puts us on the path to achieving the rainbow body. And I see these pictures of the Dalai Lama standing in front of the U.S. Capitol, and there's talk that they're trying to get me to give him a tour of the Capitol, which I would love to do, to show him the correspondence of Washington on the rainbow with the Tibetan Lamas on the rainbow, have achieved the rainbow body. But my point is that my hope out of all this is that what if the Dalai Lama comes to D.C. at that time when this disclosure talk is certainly going to be even more accelerated as we get closer to 2012, and what we do is we leapfrog the lower technological version of it, the guys that are flying around on these clunky spaceships, and instead show a manifestation of a holy being like a return of a Buddha, a return of a Quetzalcoatl. Carl Callahan says 2012 is going to happen in 2011. And if Mayan prophecy centers on the return of the feathered serpent, the return of the seraphim, the return of the rainbow body beings, this unites all the world's religions. And that, to me, would be the ultimate disclosure. That's the one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, saying, I think it's going to go in this direction, guys, and we're going to leave behind these lower guys that are just going to have to, they won't be able to handle it. They'll just have to leave.
We're going to come back and take final phone calls with William Henry in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM. We'll be right back. Well, Halloween has come and gone, but that doesn't mean we're not talking about ghosts on the program. Our next program, Ghosts and Hauntings, get ready for that. And when we come back with William Henry, let's take some final phone calls. Those of you out there in Casper, Wyoming, Miami, New Orleans, Ontario, Canada, Fort Myers, Butte, Montana, Warren, Michigan. I know that well. Back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Where are you going to be December 21st, 2012, William?
We'll see. I'm possibly here in Nashville. I haven't made my plans yet.
Not going to hide in a hole or anything, are you?
No, not going to hide in a hole. No, but looking forward to it. Things are about to get really exciting, aren't they?
Yeah, we're into this time period. We really are. I think it's going to be one heck of a ride, but if those who hold